all in this country. And that uncertainty, what happens with those tariffs, is something that came up in our one-on-one with the head of America's most iconic coffee company, Starbucks, which just this week brought together some 14,000 employees for a kind of strategy session in Vegas. That's where I met up with Brian Niccol, the Starbucks CEO, on the job less than a year, to find out more about what may look different with the company and to you in the months to come. Competition for the crown of best Starbucks barista in the world heating up in Vegas this week. But these drinks' building blocks, the beans, caught up in the president's trade war. Nearly all raw coffee beans Americans drink come from overseas, from countries like Costa Rica, Indonesia, and Ethiopia, with those 10% tariffs in place already. So for companies like Starbucks, what happens in Washington can be critical. If, in fact, this administration does put in place those more punishing tariffs, if they can't get to some of these trade deals, how does that affect your business in the longer term?
Yeah, look, I mean, we obviously need to be aware of where the tariff policy goes. For us, really the main product that we deal with on an import basis is green coffee, which frankly cannot be grown in the United States. Obviously, our team is in touch with the folks in DC to try and understand where the policy is going to move. The thing that's great about Starbucks is we're a global company. We're an iconic brand. We have the flexibility and scale to navigate wherever these policy changes go.
Do you, as the leader of that global company, have anxiety about what's happening back in Washington with the tariff uncertainty?
You know, I don't, because I'm genuinely excited about the opportunity for our company.
That's quite confident of you to say.
Yeah, well, look, I don't control that.
And Brian Niccol controls the world's biggest coffee company, the new CEO of Starbucks, on the job for only less than a year and tasked with a turnaround, reimagining a company that so far has made less money this year than the year before. Its stock sinking before Niccol came on board, and now a climate of economic uncertainty. Other big brands like Chipotle and McDonald's seeing their slowest sales since the pandemic, and consumers worried about the price they pay for the things they want. When it comes to prices, as you sit here today, can you commit that Starbucks will not raise prices this year?
Look, that was our commitment. For this fiscal year, we're not moving on prices. What I can't commit to is where the future goes. But what I definitely can commit to is we're going to give people a great experience so that what they get for what they pay, they feel like they got a great value.
Have you noticed in this current moment this drop-off in lower-income customers?
No. You know, actually what we've seen is pretty consistent behavior from all income cohorts, male, female. I think the thing that really resonates the most is getting the drink done accurately, on time, and then set them up for an occasion that they want to experience the brand.
Why is it, do you think, that Starbucks has seen, those 4 straight quarters of sales down? You're clearly not doing what you want to do from a sales perspective yet.
Yeah, no, that's right. I think, look, we veered away from, owning the idea of the third place, the coffee house experience, making sure that the customer was front and center.
So now, to encourage people to linger longer, Starbucks has already done things like reintroduce ceramic mugs and comfier seats, cut about a third of its menu to focus more on its core of coffee, and it's put in place a new requirement: people buy something to sit in the store or use its bathrooms. One of the things that you've said is that you feel like you're on the right path, but you want to move faster.
Correct.
So what is that timeline? At what point, what month, what year do you feel like you will be where you want to be?
Well, look, one of the things I'm really optimistic about is the Green Apron service model, which is really this idea of technology, the algorithm behind the scenes to sequence orders, and then staffing the stores, deploying the stores correctly, following the coffee house routines that we want to follow. We should have that across all our company-owned stores in the United States and Canada by the end of summer.
And while Starbucks just this week is rolling out a new AI helper behind the counter to help baristas get answers to their questions quickly, Niccol still believes the foundation of his company is its people.
The humanity of this business makes us unique. Now, that's not to say we're not going to use AI. We're not going to be forward-thinking on technology, forward-thinking on automation, but it can't be at the expense of having that humanity or that human connection between a barista and a customer.
How do you think you'll use AI down the road?
Look, I think it's great ways in forecasting, supply chain, actually to help us in our roasting techniques, help us with farming.
But none of that is really customer-facing.
Yeah, no, what I just ran through is not customer facing, but what I will tell you is, like, in the app and in the digital experience, we're definitely experimenting with how we use AI, to help you learn, new ways to experience new drinks.
And just the